Shermanita, breakfast!
Mrs. Peabody, I have an essay today about the 1850s and I don't know what to write.
I can help with that. Let's go to the Grin Jarper van. Seatbelts? Check. Glasses? Check. Let's go back in history.
So, Miss Peabody, what exactly is the 1850s?
Well, Shermanita, the 1850s was a decade of conflict between the slave and the free states. It was leading up to the Civil War. An example of someone who tried to compromise this was Henry Clay when he created the Compromise of 1850.
Mrs. Peabody, I think I understand the 1850s, but I'm still dreading my essay. Oh, speaking about dread, my teacher told me about this guy named Dred Scott and how he was suing for his freedom, but then the judge ruled that the Missouri Compromise was unconstitutional, making slavery legal anywhere in the U.S.
That's true.
What?
Yeah.
The Compromise of 1850 was important in getting the North and South to come to an agreement over slavery. There were four main parts: instating the Fugitive Slave Act, splitting up the Texas Territory, installing popular sovereignty in the Mexican secession, and admitting California as a free state.
Compromise of 1850.
Hello, my name is Henry Clay. I'm here to talk to all of you about the Compromise of 1850. This compromise enforced the fugitive slave law along with the admission of California as a free state.
Excuse me, why are you using the fugitive slave law?
I'm using the fugitive slave law because it pleases us all, and it allows all escaped slaves to be sent back.
Press play.
So how do we know the South will enforce this law?
Yeah, if they didn't follow before, why would they follow it now?
So, Shermanita, there was this book called Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it was one of the things that kickstarted the conflict between slave and free states because it made people question if slavery was morally right or morally wrong.
In school, Miss Peabody, I heard something about a gold rush.
Oh yeah, that was in California. Some people went to California and then they found gold, so then everyone started moving out there. This was actually a conflict too because
I have another question. There was something about a railroad I heard too.
oh yeah, it's just that the railroad really greatly expanded throughout the country in the 1850s. That was a big thing.
The Dred Scott court case of 1853 was one of the most controversial decisions in history. Slave Dred Scott was suing his master for his freedom, with his reasoning being he once was living in a free state but got taken down to a slave one. The court ruled that slaves were more property than people, and also that the Missouri Compromise was unconstitutional.
Where are we? Where are we?
It's slave Dred Scott suing for his freedom.
Oh.
Jury has ruled that slaves are property, which makes the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional.
What's the big deal? Why is everyone gasping?
The big deal is the Missouri Compromise is unconstitutional. It's held our country together forever. The Band-Aid is being ripped off.
John Brown was a radical slavery abolitionist who was responsible for the famous raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859. With him, he brought slaves to fight and try to steal weaponry. This raid went on for 2 days, but was eventually stopped by General Robert E. Lee.
Mrs. Peabody, what's happening?
We're at Harper's Ferry. That's John Brown, and those are the slaves fighting with him.
That's John Brown? He's not really brown.
I know.
Hey, get out of here!
Another court case that was really important was the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which was another failed compromise at solving the problem between slave and free states. They tried to do this by a thing called popular sovereignty. It's something like we have today. It's pretty much like democracy, you know.
Got it.
Yep.
The Kansas-Nebraska Act was an act to decide if Kansas and Nebraska would be slave states or free states. The way they decided this was popular sovereignty. This caused many people to move to Kansas and Nebraska to try to win their side of the fight.
Kansas-Nebraska Act.
We will decide this on popular sovereignty. The people will choose for a slave state or not slave state.
Let's go to Kansas.
Come on, let's follow them.
Okay.
Let's see where they're going. Because of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, everyone started to move out there because they wanted their side to win. So because the majority of the people would win. So a ton of people moved out there, and things started to turn violent, especially in Kansas. It was this thing called Bleeding Kansas.
What?
It was crazy. People were killing each other. No one could agree.
The Kansas-Nebraska Act led to people from both the North and the South to move to Nebraska and Kansas to fight for which side they wanted. This turned violent, which is known as Bleeding Kansas.
This is freaking me out. What is this?
This is Bleeding Kansas. They're fighting for popular sovereignty.
I claim this land for free. I want to have the economy.
Another violent thing that happened was with Sumner and Brooks. It was another conflict over slave or free states. They just didn't agree with each other.
So what happened?
Brooks caned Sumner until he passed out.
No way.
In 1856, Preston Brooks beat Charles Sumner with his cane in the courtroom. He did this because they had opposing views on if Kansas should be free or slave. Sumner wanted it to be free, Brooks wanted it to be slave. Although it was a tragedy, they both came out as heroes for each side because they stuck up for their side of the story and were looked at as martyrs.
Kansas should be a free state.
No, it needs to be a slave state, you some squat.
What? Why is this happening?
They're fighting over if Kansas should be free or slave. And the most ironic part is they both came out of this as martyrs for the North or the South.
We have to stop this.
You can't change history. No! You ruined the space-time continuum! Go! Here's your stick. It's time to go back now. Do you think you get it now?
Yeah, thanks, Miss Peabody. I get it, because you have the Missouri Compromise, which was ruled unconstitutional because of Dred Scott. You have the Compromise of 1850 and the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which was trying to compromise between the slaves and the non-slave states.
Mm-hmm.
But that caused Bleeding Kansas. And then you have Sumner and Brooks, which that was dangerous. Thank you so much.
Get the A, buddy.
It's worth 200 points.
All right, you girls
Mrs.
gotta get
Price.
working.
I'll flip the thing cushion for you.
Mom,
Ready?
Mom, say something to Mr. Z.
Hey, Mr. Z, the kids all love you.
Alright. Say I think
You put it at the end.
say
Put it at
I
the
think
end.
Chad Zwolinski's cute.
No, well, he is.